Shout out to G-Man.
When you start off with a shout out to G-Man, your credibility is already in question.
Death to atheism. Death to atheism.
"10 seconds in, and he bored himself to sleep."
Science. Science is a great pursuit of knowledge. No doubt. But science, and all that they have learned, cannot explain to us. The moment before the singularity, i.e., the Big Bang.
The moment before the singularity? Well, you're already starting off with a problem, because assuming a moment before the singularity, which assumes that we would know what happened before the singularity, also that would denote that there was time, which we don't believe existed during the point of the singularity, at least as far as I know. But I do know for sure the time before the singularity was not the Big Bang, because that's after the singularity.
They can't do it.
Yet.
They cannot do it.
Now, just hold on a second. We've only been doing this trying to discover the origins of the cosmos using a scientific method for maybe 100 or so years. Give us a little bit of time. Just because we don't have it now doesn't mean we'll never figure it out.
We, on the other hand,
take forever to get your points across.
As Christian believers, we have a book.
The Aborigines, the Babylonians, the Muslims, the Hindus, the Buddhists, all of these people either have oral stories or books or written parchment papers or written down into stone. All have these creation stories. Yours isn't special.
Oh, man. A book.
And not just any Bible, the King James Version, the one that most biblical scholars consider the least accurate, or the one you would least want to use for a serious Bible study. It has words that no longer exist. It has words that are used differently then as what people would think they are now. It has a lot of flaws and errors in it. So, good job. Good start. Also, is it me, or does this guy look like a combination of the Amazing Atheist and Kazumi Fowler? Just saying.
I'm going to tell you something.
I really wish you would hurry it up and tell me what it is.
There is one verse in this book. One.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Vampire Hunter. Hurry the fuck up! Okay, guys, just so I'm tired of waiting on him, I'm going to edit out these long-ass gaps that this guy seems to have. So, so if you're wondering why it just sounds like he's just skipping, it's because I'm trying to not want to put a bullet in my brain.
G-Man, what up? Whoop, whoop. Bless you, bro.
I think there's a rule being violated for him being a metalhead and being able to go, whoop, whoop, and bless you, bro. There's just... Is that just me? Am I the crazy one here?
There is one verse right in here that nullifies atheism. Number one.
Okay, so I had to add that one in there because it was exceptionally long, and the lights did a really cool, like, opening out, like, the angels were just, oh. But of course, he didn't add any sound effects. But it was kind of cool because before he did it, like, himself, so I don't know, that was a neat little trick, so, yeah, anyways.
This verse is a trump card. It's a trump card. But we shouldn't have pride about it.
If there's anything that fundies are so good at, it's not being prideful. Bullshit. Oh, sorry. Whew. Sorry.
Genesis 1:1.
Are you fucking kidding me? I waited 4.5 minutes to all your silence and waiting and whatever the fuck you were doing in the downtime to hear you say Genesis 1:1. Go on.
In the beginning. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Pretty simple. As a matter of fact, it's too simple for some.
And if by some you mean the entire scientific community, about 60% of the Christian community, and about 95% of the Jewish community will actually let you know that, because they're the ones that actually wrote Genesis and whatnot, that, the Genesis story was meant to be a metaphorical, telling, a very shallow one, in fact, of what actually did happen, because they understand that what they could never really describe the glory of how God did things. But, so you have to wonder if they're not the ones that believe, if they believe that it wasn't a literal thing, why the fuck do you?
Science will never be able to explain that moment.
Says who?
If you believe, your answers are here.
And if I was a Muslim, the answers would be in the Quran. And if I was in the Babylonian Empire, I would believe the Enuma Elish. What the fuck is your point?
Faith. Joy comes when you just believe. God created.
That and a lot of unanswered questions, like how did he will all the materials to make the universe into existence? Why did he make a 6,000-year-old Earth appear to be 4.5 billion years old and live in a universe in a 14.5 billion years old? A lot of questions that you will not find the answers to in Genesis 1 or anywhere else in the Bible for that matter.
Science has nothing for you. Nothing.
Bull fucking shit. We know everything up to the point of the Big Bang, and we can name all the different parts of the universe that exist, or at least our observable universe, and how they were in an infinitely dense state in the singularity, and how what happened from the Big Bang, and how hot the universe was. It slowly cooled off. It started to form stars, and all this kind of different stuff. We can say all that. But all the Bible has, not to mention every other religious text that has a creation story, it starts off with something to the effect of there was nothing and then there was something.
So, you're born. You die. And you go back to dust.
I'm gonna be dust by the time you finish your fucking thought.
I don't need this book anymore. But why is it still important? Because it's an explanation of creation.
No, it's not an explanation. It's an assertion. The same one that can be made in the Quran, that can be made in the Enuma Elish, and God knows how many other creation story myths that are out there that have been written down or have been passed down for generations and generations. There is nothing special about the Bible. And not to mention, it really doesn't say anything. I mean, when it comes to science, we can break it down all the way from the possibility of quantum fluctuations while the universe was in a singularity, and then what happens afterwards with the Big Bang and the space expands and the formation of stars and blah blah blah. We can go all into that. But all these other stories, what they equate to is, in the beginning, there was nothing, and then there was something later on. That is not an explanation.
Not randomness. The opposite of randomness. It's called design.
So it's either the random chance, allowing for millions upon millions of years for evolution, whatnot, or poof, random shit appears in its completed form.
And this was designed as well.
Now, I can agree that the New Testament and the Old Testament were definitely designed. Both books separately took about 100 to 200 years to get down to completion. It's a lot of generations passed down trying to get the stories just right and figure out which stories are not heretical and which stories should, be the proper doctrine.
Don't throw out the book. Don't worship it.
This here is probably the only thing that I really agree with this guy 100% on. Because fundamentalists are notorious for worshiping the creation over the creator.
But this volume is an absolute refutation to atheism.
2,000 years of increasing atheism and Christianity either becoming less fundamentalist or disappearing altogether would completely disagree with you.
This book explains the singularity.
Bullshit. The Bible only says in the beginning. The beginning denotes time. In the singularity, there was what you would call the time before time. Time did not exist until the Big Bang had happened. So if we were to say in the beginning, that would be after the Big Bang. So even the Bible does not even mention the singularity, where it came from, or what happened beforehand. So congratulations, you and I are on the same page.
And not one science book can explain it. That is why you don't throw this out.
So because science has questions that aren't answered, the Bible obviously has the answers. So again, what is special about the Bible that maybe the Quran or any of these other ancient religions or mythos that have been around that also tried to have a creation story? Why should I listen to you as opposed to them?
For those that believe, atheism indeed is dead.
Well, you can believe all you want. However, facts don't lie. And atheism is still on the rise, no matter how many times you try to say that it's dead. If you want atheism to die, why don't you prove that God exists? That would be a big help. Okay, thanks.
Science. Science will never be able to explain creation.
Well then, Why don't you give it a shot and try saying something more than God did it? Seriously, does he not look like Kazumi Fowler and Amazing Atheist? It's ridiculous. Or the singularity? Well, you're already starting off with a problem because assuming a moment before the singularity, which assumes that we would know what happened before the singularity, also that would denote that there was time, which we don't believe existed during the point of the singularity, at least as far as I know. But I do know for sure the time before the singularity was not the Big Bang, because that's 10 seconds in, and he bored himself to sleep.
Science. Science is a great pursuit of knowledge, no doubt. But science,
After the singularity.
they can't do it.
Yet.
They cannot do it.
Now, just hold on a second. We've only been doing this trying to discover the origins of the cosmos using a scientific method for
And all that they have learned cannot explain to us. The moment before the singularity, i.e., the Big Bang.
the moment before.
Shout out to G-Man.
When you start off with a shout out to G-Man, your credibility is already in question.
Death to atheism.
Huh.
Death to atheism.